This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix this Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Welcome to Diz and Hers, the show about what's happening in the Disney community from his, hers, and your perspective. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Eric, and on today's show, we discuss how a fire breaking out in its small world helped a community come together to discuss why most blogs are becoming less helpful and a little bit more annoying.
But before we get started, we want to take a second to remind you that Diz and Hers can be found on all your favorite podcast platforms and also in video format on YouTube and Spotify. We'd love it if you could head over to Apple and give us a review and let us know what you want to hear us talk about on a future episode. All right, so let's get this party started. It has been a weird week to 10 days at the Walt Disney World Resort down in Florida. Like Eric said, there was a small fire at a small world. And as we kept digging, we were looking at, okay, so the Wilderness Lodge, we know we talked about the AC mishap. Then we know that there was an evacuation after a fire alarm. There was the fire at the Dolphin, which looks like it was at the Bourbon Steak Restaurant. And thankfully, nobody was hurt in any of this. Then we had the crazy lightning storm that knocked out like 75% of Disney World's attractions. And now there's smoke on Small World. What in the world is going on here, Eric?
Well, there's part of me that thinks that it's because the internet is available and that all of us can easily tweet, blog, and put it on the internet. But I have to be very thankful for that because that's why we have a show here. But let's talk about what is actually causing the issue with this Small World. So from what I understand, it's a portable phone charger. It sparked fire. So a guest's portable phone charger briefly caught fire while guests were boarding It's a Small World at the Magic Kingdom. So it seems like the cast members did pretty good when it came to handling the situation, right?
Yeah, I mean, the cast members jumped right in. The fire was extinguished within minutes. Nobody was injured. And thankfully, with all the things I just rattled down through, that nobody was injured. And the attraction then reopened later that day. But what was weird to me is, like, I didn't realize that portable phone chargers could just, burst into flames. And I think that that's why and on airlines now,
Yeah.
they want you to bring them on in a carry-on or in your personal item and not in a checked bag. Have you ever heard of this?
Well, no, this is what the airlines have been saying, and I noticed that the last time we flew is that a lot of them are saying, all right, it can't be in the overhead bin, right? That's the whole thing is lithium ion batteries. And I'm assuming that's, the portable charger ones that we have. And I mean, they come in all shapes and sizes now. I don't know if there's some that are better in terms of less likely to bust out into flames. I know the ones that we've been buying recently are the ones that plug right directly into the wall because it was always one of those darn things where you had to find a charger to charge the charger. And it just became such a nuisance. So you've been leading us towards the ones that plug directly in the wall, and they seem pretty sturdy. They don't seem to get too hot, but they can. So I imagine just, summer heat, different air pressures, all types of, charging your own phone and getting hot that way. That's what caused this. I mean, it didn't make any permanent damage beyond just the battery itself, right? It exploded in their hand, they drop it, and that's kind of what the deal was.
Yeah, and people were talking about the white residue from the extinguisher, that kind of stuff. But I don't know. They didn't release, as far as I know, the brand of portable charger this was. But we went to the comment section to see what people were saying. And hey, Disney community, coming to Disney's defense and given a lot of praise. Normally, sometimes we're pretty critical, huh? But guests thought that Disney handled this one really well. They talked about how cast members stayed calm, that the guests were evacuated quickly and calmly. Communication seemed clear. So, very little criticism there. People were talking about what brands of, portable chargers you should get. Like, I think they said Anchor was a good one. But the question is, I mean, is this an example of Disney at its best during an unexpected situation? Because on last week's show, we talked about, with the AC being out at the Wilderness Lodge and communication being spotty at best. And everybody kind of got a different answer depending on when people went to the front desk.
Yeah, I think closing down rides is a little bit more of a routine thing for, cast members to deal with. I mean, if you're looking at a small world, how many people are you getting on a boat? Maybe 20 at the most. 25 there. So you basically had this explode, whatever happened, get them out of the way, harm's way, evacuate the system. They probably used to evacuating in all types of cases. I mean, I imagine if there's a protein spill, they're used to evacuating in some aspects. So I don't think this was too much different except for wherever the fire extinguisher was, which I'm trying to think, where would that be? Like, do they just have one up in that? It'd be great. How you wave their person up in the tower, you wave to them. I wonder if that's just they throw down the extinguisher and take out
I doubt
the fire.
it. That would
I'd
be a
love to see that.
hazard in its own
Yeah.
right. We'll
Yeah.
have to look next time we're there. But
Yeah.
so
But we do
the
get some snarky people, right? We get some snarky Reddit comments, which I love.
oh yeah, we gotta love some snark. So I did lead with that everybody was pretty supportive of Disney in the situation, but RSB Hila says so now Disney will ban battery packs, and then they go on. They'll rent the battery packs though, and then someone else says if they could ban you from bringing your own charger, it would in theory mean that they can rent out more of their own. From a business perspective, that sounds like a win. The ideal solution would be for a dangerous chargers to no longer be a thing, and for now, the general public to be better educated on the telltale signs of bad chargers.
Um,
So, I mean, do
that's
you think
so they
Disney
think that
would ever ban chargers so that you have to get a fuel rod? Because they get hot too.
I mean, it'd be difficult. Right now, I do think some of those chargers do set off maybe the metal detectors. I always put mine in my hand and kind of walk through. I always feel like that's the one that's going to set it off. I know things like the cans, the SPF cans, will set those
Yeah.
off. They've always warned us there. But they use fuel rods in there right now, and they don't really make money per se off fuel rods. They get the one-time purchase, and you go and you can continue. They're not charging like I think Universal charges and SeaWorld charges and so many other ones, but Disney's not charging. So because they're so reliant on you being on your phone and having a full charge and capturing those memories and so forth. So it'd be really interesting. I guess the dirty move, and we don't want to give them any ideas, is to ban all outside parties, all outside portable chargers, and then charge for the chargers. That would cause all types of ruckus and chaos.
Oh, yeah, people would not like that. And then speaking of snark, we have Colonial Bungle that says, let me fix the title of this for you. Small world fire breaks out at It's a Small World caused by Disney requiring cell phones for everything and making guests need to recharge their phone from a portable battery pack. And then somebody chimes in and says, yeah, this is a time where the guest isn't to blame here at all. A portable charger is a necessity to be at the park.
Yeah, so it breaks up the conversation of like how dependent do you have to become on your phone, which we kind of just talked about. I mean, with the My Disney experience, if you're buying a lightning lane or even looking for different times, you're pretty dependent on having that phone. And phones just don't seem to last long. Not to mention your wait times, and you're on TikTok or Instagram, or you're doing something on your phone while in line now. Even if you're doing what Disney wants you to do, which is play their app, the Play Disney app.
Disney,
you
yeah.
know, Yeah, I mean, you're still playing on their phone, and now with mobile order and so forth, like, I just don't think you could make it a day on, through the parks without charging. I mean, we switch out ours 2, 3 times a day.
Yeah, and we don't just use them for our phone. Like if we're going in, July or August, like hot months, like we have a rechargeable neck fan. You have your Apple Watch, so the portable charger I just got, you can put your Apple Watch on and it will charge that. You have your like AirPods or earbuds. So, I think that there's a major need for a portable charger.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to ban it anytime soon. It would
No.
be interesting to say, hey, we have to ban certain types, but they haven't done that yet. They haven't ever said you can't come in with your poncho, right? And you can only buy Disney approved ponchos. So
And
I
you could
think
bring
that,
food and everything
yeah. So I
in
think we're safe
there.
there. I think we're safe there. It would be interesting if they have to make some type of announcement about portable chargers, and or if we start seeing signs different places saying, hey, be aware, these get hot. Like, what are you going to do about it though? I mean, I don't know. This had to be just a one-off scenario. We don't hear too often about that. But then again, we have seen a lot more fires lately, or at least it seems like there's more attraction fires. I don't think they're all from the lithium ion batteries though.
No, no. I think this was the only one, but you do see far more education at the airports about it. And just like, unfortunately, when that little child was, eaten by an alligator or crocodile was that at the Grand Floridian? They had to start putting the signs up, warning of the wildlife. So it would not surprise me if there's another incident that maybe they will put some signage around the parks and resorts. And remember, when there were some kind of like not flesh eating mosquito, but there was some kind of mosquito issue where they were putting the bug spray in the rooms. They did give warnings for that. So that wouldn't totally surprise me, but I don't think they're going to ban, portable
Yeah.
chargers anytime soon.
Yeah, the lawyers are just getting involved. That's all the signs and stuff mean, right? The lawyers are basically saying, all right, you need to do this, do this, do this to cover your butt.
If
But
there
I'm
was
sure
somebody
there'll be some more
injured,
explosions.
yeah.
Well, I'm surprised if somebody didn't get injured, but now it's a matter of I'm wondering if there are more explosions of these batteries than I even realized. I'll have to Google and see what causes these types of explosions. Or fires for that matter. But it'd be interesting to see what kind of, I mean, I hope it wasn't a fuel rod because I would be very disappointed if those machines are all pulled. And once again, that $30 fuel rod that I bought maybe years ago is no longer good.
Well, yeah, that would be I think you'd have a lot of salty, Disney fans if they did that, and Universal, if you're listening, get on it, like, let's be able to swap those out for free. But as we were going through the comments, another, thread started within this one. So people were just talking about the fire, they're talking about Disney's response, they're talking about different brands of portable chargers, and then people started saying or complaining about how Disney news gets reported online. So there were so many comments saying the same thing. They were saying that every Disney article says the same thing. It's like just each paragraph is rewritten using the same like information but using different words. And so then people were saying that they've stopped reading Disney blogs. They're just going to Reddit to get the real story. And so I was digging into this because you could see there was a lot of frustration with the way that Disney news is being covered today. And it caught my attention because you and I mean, like, we work in digital media like every day in and day out. So after the break, we're going to take a look at why Disney fans are getting so frustrated with the Disney blogs and why do so many articles feel exactly the same. And has Google and AI completely changed the way that people are covering Disney forever? So we'll get into that when we get back.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, And free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
All right, so now we're switching gears and we're talking about why Disney fans are getting frustrated with the blogs. So we talked about while we were reading about the It's a Small World fire, how this other conversation caught our attention. So looking at suspicious visit, they started all of this where it says unrelated, but I virtually hate when blogs have become 3 paragraphs of literally the same thing, just reworded over and over again. And then It's a Good Time responded with, unrelated, but I virtually hate when blogs have become the 3 paragraphs being rewritten over and over. What readers are saying they hate most is the same paragraph just reworded. Disney guests all agree they hate when blogs have become they're nothing but reworded over and over again, said user suspicious visit.
Beautiful. That was nicely done. Nicely done. It's a good time. I think that was great. I didn't recognize what they were doing until that third paragraph. That might be it. But no, it's pretty interesting. I love it when these threads go on these slide tangents. This is what I believe is the show is all about, because it's like, all right, what are we really talking about? That's when we start really getting in the nitty-gritty where no one else is talking about.
You know, like I said, Eric and I are in this business. I work in corporate communications and have worked in, news and Eric in digital media. And the reality is that every outlet receives the same thing. They get the same press release. They get the same Disney Parks blog post. They get the same official approved photos and the same public information. That a lot of times is why the coverage sounds similar. It's literally people just grabbing the same information without a lot of context. And I think that is what people really are wanting. The first time I noticed this was on Pinterest when I used to go and get recipes. So back in the day when Pinterest started, you could be like, I want this recipe for buffalo chicken dip. And now it's like, what is buffalo chicken dip? My grandma and I made buffalo chicken dip when I was a kid. And every time I make buffalo chicken dip, I listen to Stevie Nicks. And so it's like, well, why do you need all of this like colorful context when you just want the recipe for buffalo chicken dip? So like, what is it, Eric? Like, why do they do this?
Well, I mean, that's the common trope right now is the recipe ones. The ones it's like literally all you need is these steps. And then you have the 14 paragraphs about the ancient history of it. So you said it perfectly. Well, a lot of it comes down to manipulation of Google, right? And that is primarily what you're saying is you get X amount of stuff, but Google once rewarded how often you said these certain keywords in a paragraph. So what you're almost incentivized, and there were a lot of digital marketing, experts out there saying you need to have 500, 750, 1,000 words on each blog for you to kind of beat out the other. And they called it kind of the skyscraper method because, back when skyscrapers were being built, you'd have one that was 100, stories tall. And then you have the next person want to be a little bit bigger. So they made there's 101 and then 102. And then sooner or later you get these buildings that you didn't need to have this many floors, but it was just a matter of we want to be the best. So you get these blogs that literally can say something in 3 paragraphs, and now you have somebody trying to make it 6 because doubling the paragraphs means it's obviously better. Well, that worked primarily a lot in the early days of Google, and what you're seeing now is there is a shake up in the industry. There's obviously Google, you have yourself AI now with AI answers and overview. So, but it's hard for people to get rid of what worked for them in the past. So you still see these things where it's just like, all right, we need to talk about this small world fire. And they're thinking they have to use the word, it's a small world fire, four times within 3 paragraphs or 7 times. And they have all these little tools that tell them you got to say it so many times for the Google to pick up and this and that. And sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But that's why you're getting all this regurgitated same stuff, especially from where you rank, because at the end of the day, someone's going to type in, what's up with the small world fire, and someone's going to, the top result is going to get the clicks. And I think it all comes down to the next thing, which is ad revenue, right? So you're familiar how ad revenue works on these websites, right?
Yeah.
So like ultimately you're going to get third-party ads from like Google. It's called AdSense, and you'll see it's the annoying ads that pop up on the side, pop up in throughout the article. But guess what?
Yeah, and if you've like looked at something on the Disney store and now you're visiting this blog, a lot of times you're targeted with that specific item. So it could be based on where you're located or what you've looked at, or unfortunately now what you talk about. So
Right.
those are called third-party ads.
Yeah. So, and these users, these websites are getting paid for, how many impressions they get. When you go there and you see an ad, you essentially make them not a ton of money, but enough. So they're incentivized to get you to click, number one. But also, if there's just one ad you see and you only have you can tell the whole story in one paragraph, you don't have to scroll. And if you don't have to scroll, you're not going to see ad number 3 or ad number 4 or ad number 5, which means you don't make money. So the goal is to get these pages basically, and that's why you have paragraph 1. Oh, let's make paragraph 2 the same thing, but there's an ad stuck between them, and there's an ad stuck between that. And it is obvious now at this point in time, it's like, hey, how many ads can we get in here? Because we get that click and we worked real hard to get that click, we can get more money. And that's essentially what has caused, it's allowed to incentivize, so we have more bloggers, we have people that can make it their day to go to the parks and cover this information. But you also have really, really bogged down websites with a lot of ads that you can't really tell sometimes if this is real content or is this a fake ad that you're, part of the content. It gets really, really clustered and frustrating. And you can tell that that's one reason why people are kind of like, hey, we're going to go to Reddit instead. Hence why now when you Google things, a lot of times it might be an official website, but a lot of times it's either a Quora, a Reddit, a Facebook, because Google realizes a lot of people just want real answers. They don't want this advertising and people that are incentivized to just get people there. That's where clickbaits come from,
Right. And we talked about like the worst clickbait websites on a previous episode. And so, it explains why, like Inside the Magic, for instance, they're sending out the emails and, posting on social media, and they are straight up clickbait just to get you to go to at least have that impression. But do you think that, we as the Disney community have figured this out, and so we're just changing our patterns now? Because like I would much rather search on TikTok or YouTube or like look in the actual comment section to get a real answer versus going to some of these,
Well, I think we all
mm,
kind of, yeah. I think we all kind of appreciate the Reddit because the people on Reddit aren't necessarily incentivized to give their opinion. It's just people that want to give
right.
their opinion and have to work a little bit harder than the next guy. You have to, set that up. I don't think we as humans want to do too much searching though. So like we have fun with it because we enjoy reading the comments and we can utilize some of it for our show. But I think generally, if I just wanted to know what the heck was going on with It's a Small World, you want an article that explains it out that's reputable. So there's still some of those websites that if you can deem yourself as reputable and trustworthy and not have too many ads, you're going to get the lion's share sooner or later. But I really do think the big distributing factor, like what's going to really just, cause chaos is now AI answers will give this to you. So as I was researching some of the shows, I asked a specific question and it literally was like, all right, here's where you have it. And it has your sources. So there's no ads to be made. And this is obviously very controversial for content creators is because when you don't need to click on a website, guess what? That person who's doing all the work and AI is taking the information and giving it out to you for free without the click, that person's no longer getting paid. But that also is a matter of like, we kind of created that ourselves by creating garbage websites. So it's tough to know who's right and wrong. Is Google and the AI products okay for just stealing people's content? No, not really. That's not cool. But also, are you creating such a negative experience that we no longer want to go to your website? Because if we know all the sources here, we'll just go to that website and we don't have to Google things. We just know what's up. I think it's a balance where if you're a content creator and you're really relying on content through ads, I think you really should look at it and say, all right, what am I doing here? Am I servicing the customer? Because they're going to find their information another way if you're just annoying them.
Right. So, I mean, looking at the bigger context here, so if everybody has the same facts, it's an even playing field. Like, what makes one content creator worth following over another? Like, if we're looking at parks news, if I see like a local news station covered it, to me, that is the most trustworthy because they're not getting rewarded with just, clickbaits and clicks and they're regulated, but, like, take them out of the equation because there's a million different Disney content creators. Which ones are worth the follow and which ones aren't?
Yeah, I think what in this day and age, it's going to become more about matching your personality types, right? I mean, there are certain websites out there that do that you trust for breaking news, but they've kind of earned that through various platforms. Like we talked early, it is Tom Bricker a couple episodes ago was highly
Yeah.
revered at and Paging Mr. Morrow. He's not a news blogger, but like when he gives you information, like you see people that like take it for what it is. So I think that there are in this day and age where everybody has the same information, you're going to go with the people that you kind of created a relationship with, even if it's a one-way relationship where you're actually witnessing them. Sometimes you feel like you get to know them. That's one reason why podcasts have become so popular and in radio shows or YouTubers. It's like you feel like you know these people. So when they give you information, that's who you're going to go after. So you're going to go after the one that you kind of relate to or you know more about, and then you trust them. So in a given circumstance, if we all break the same thing and you're handed in front of you, you get to choose between 10 different websites, you're going to go the one that you've heard more about. They give maybe their personal opinion or gave some type of personality aspect. So I think some of these no face websites that people are just cooking up blogs and that's all they do is send stuff. I think they're probably going to be less likely to be supported in the future. You're going to want to support from people you know, like, and trust, I guess.
Yeah, and right now, like, what I value the most is, like, an individual's perspective. Even if I'm, like, on TikTok or Reels or whatever, like, if I mean, because I can be influenced just like anybody else, but I like when people are like, "I actually use this, like, this helped me save time, this helped me save money." This like, I like things that are helpful like that, or that explain it in a way that I've never thought of before. I was looking for we don't typically do lightning lane because we're pass holders, but we were going down with Eric's brother maybe a month or so ago, and I was looking for tips on lightning lanes. And because when I booked them, it was all like late times. And I searched and I searched and I searched. And I finally found an old blog from the Disney food blog that was like, we have tried everything, and this is the best way to get better times. And I mean, I checked on Reels, I checked on TikTok, and nobody was giving that specific information. And so, like, I wanted to write AJ a letter and be like, this was amazing. This certainly saved us, time and a lot of headaches. Like, I didn't realize that you needed to just get out of it totally, get back in, and keep, like, what do the kids call it these days? Like, mashing it. But it did the thing. And so I do agree that I think it's the trusted people that aren't just, filling, word salad to make their articles longer.
Right. Yeah. And that's the case. I mean, you were once, now granted, don't get me wrong, this has spread. There's reasons why YouTube videos are longer than 10 minutes. There's reason why podcasts become longer. I mean, and no one is immune to this. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are a content creator, you should get paid, or at least you need to get paid to keep doing it, because we all appreciate that kind of feet on the ground reporting, whether it be, as a side hustle or so forth. So we're not saying, hey, advertising is bad, but we're also saying, like, if you treat it and try to expose and exploit every little bit of it, people will find the person who's not and develop a relationship with them. So it's very interesting how people find. And, we're in a web 3.0 economy now where like you can have these little pocket creators and you just need enough people to support them for them to keep going. These guys might not get rich off of it, but they do provide a really, really good source of information. So I think supporting some of those guys is a good thing.
Like, if you want people to continue to do what they're doing, like, I don't know if people realize how much time that goes into creating podcasts or creating YouTube videos or creating videos on social media. Like, it takes a lot of time and effort and dedication. So if you have a creator in your life and you can, like, support them monetarily, support them by, like, sharing their stuff or commenting on it, whatever, that all really does help a lot.
Yeah, no, certainly. But I mean, I'm kind of curious, if people are still out there reading the Disney blogs, or they all going to TikTok, or they're all going to Reddit, like a lot of the people were saying there, Facebook groups, all that. I know that if you're asking me, I'm still much of a podcaster, but I do find myself watching a lot more YouTube for this information, and obviously hitting up Reddit a lot more than I do. TikTok is probably the number one reason people are finding news now. So it's very interesting. So let us know, what are you guys using?
Yeah, we want to know. And I mean, I go back to, I just want better conversations. I like that two way. Like, I love when people, comment and we can talk back and forth. Like, that's part of the human experience. But, anyways, starting all the way at the top, going back to the small world fire and the crazy week that Disney has been having. Hopefully, things settle down as we are hitting the road this weekend. But that does it for this week's episode of Diz and Hers. For more, make sure that you hit up dizandhers.com. There you'll find articles, episodes, and updates. And if Disney's your vibe, make sure to subscribe.
And remember, watch what you post online. You might end up in next week's episode. Thanks for listening.